A waitress, desperate to fulfill her dreams as a restaurant owner, is set on a journey to turn a frog prince back into a human being. But she has to face the same problem after she kisses him.
Hi, my name is Andre.
I'm Michelle.
I'm Emily.
And I'm Luis.
And we're the Walt Vault Podcast, our podcast about Disney movies. Hello and welcome to the Walt Vault, episode 6. We did it again. We're here.
Hey, y'all.
What's up? How you guys doing?
Pretty good. It's December, so I'm good. It's the holidays.
It is now the first week of December, and we're here to talk about The Princess and the Frog.
Yes.
The 2009 Disney animated film.
What are your initial thoughts, Mr. Andre?
Oh, me? I love this movie. This movie is great. I remember when it came out being very excited that it was happening because it was like the first African-American princess that Disney had ever done. So I was hyped about that. And then I saw it in theaters, and I loved it. And then when it came out on video, I made all my roommates watch it because it was my first year in college. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Made all my roommates watch it. And I don't think it was all at once either. Like, I made one roommate watch it at one time, and then I watched it again with another roommate, and then again with another roommate. So I've seen this movie a bunch, and I still love it.
I've only seen this movie once. I saw it
twice. I hope.
Well, now twice.
Okay.
Yes, but I saw it when it came out, and I was a junior in high school.
She was a little.
I was little. I graduated high school in 2011 for reference.
Oh my God.
Okay, so
I
saw
was
it,
75.
in the theaters with my family, and all I remember was my mom and I crying when Ray died. Like, that's all I remember. We were just like,
Spoilers for the movie.
It's not spoiler. This movie came out in 2009, you guys. If
Should we be giving spoiler alerts for these movies? I never even thought about that.
It came out almost 10 years ago.
Oh my God.
It's
oh
okay.
Yeah.
It's not a spoiler alert. If we were reviewing Coco,
yeah,
then I would say
right.
like spoiler alert, but it's Princess and the Frog. So yeah, this is only the second time I've seen this movie because I couldn't bring myself to watch it again because I was like, I'm gonna cry again, and makes me emotional. But thoroughly enjoyed it.
This is probably like the maybe third or fourth time I've seen it. I actually haven't seen it that much,
Mm-hmm.
but I will say that I enjoyed it the most this time, and I'm not really sure why, but I definitely almost lost it a couple times with the tears, and I laughed very wholeheartedly. I really, really enjoyed this movie.
Luis?
I'm just going to say 2 words. Top 5.
Top 5. Now,
He doesn't have many spots left,
we've
people.
done 6 episodes. How many of these movies have been in your top 5 now?
Wasn't it like Moana and
Wreck-It Ralph.
Wreck-It Ralph, Pocahontas? You got one more spot left.
I do. And that's a very covenant spot.
It's next week's movie.
But going back to this
Covenant.
whole spoiler alert thing, why do people even say that? They still... It's not as if like when somebody hears spoiler alert, they go and turn it off. They still listen.
Well,
I'm sure some people
So
could.
what's the point of a spoiler alert?
If somebody was talking about Star Wars and they said like, oh, I saw an early screening of The Last Jedi, spoiler alert, I turn that off right now, immediately.
Well,
Boom,
you're
off.
absolutely...
Andre
Okay.
just
They
slapped the
shouldn't-
table.
They shouldn't even be reporting on the movie until it comes out.
I agree.
Well, okay, so...
Someone sounds like he's speaking from experience.
I'm a little hot-headed about Star Wars spoilers.
okay, so I get that, but like sometimes when people say spoiler alert, like we did just now, we don't give the listener an opportunity to shut it off.
Right,
It's
we
just
said
like,
it. We said
spoiler
it.
alert. Blah, whoa, 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 whoa,
And we said it after the spoiler.
You know, there's no time there for them to turn it off.
No spoilers. This movie came out in 2009. If you haven't seen it yet, it's been 8 years. Get out from your rock, okay? It's a good movie. Go watch it.
So next time we do spoiler alert, we will do. Na, 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 na. You have 10 more seconds.
This is your spoiler warning.
Luis, what were your
Warning
initial thoughts of this
9,
movie?
8,
Um,
6, 4, 2, spoiled.
Again, just
Spoiled.
before getting too into the movie, I just want to leave it at top 5 for me.
Top 5 for Luis.
Very good. Very good. So, I would like to talk about this movie. Okay, I wrote down an interesting fact, and I have to find it because I had just read it a few minutes ago, and it was so cool, and now I need to find it. So, do. I'm going to get there.
You just read it.
Spoiler alert.
Oh, okay.
Spoiler alert.
I found it. Tiana, Princess Tiana,
Mm-hmm.
only has, let's see, this movie's probably now over an hour and a half long, I would assume. That's kind of typical. Princess Tiana only has 19 minutes of screen time as a human.
Right.
19 minutes.
She is mainly
A
frog.
frog.
In this
Spoiler
movie.
alert.
She's a frog.
Spoiler
She's
alert.
a frog. Ribbit.
She's a frog. In connection with that, I read that even though she's a frog for most of this movie, she also has the most costume changes of any Disney princess.
11 different outfits.
11? I didn't even know it was that
That
much.
was my second.
She's got a bunch
fun
of
fact.
She's got a couple waitress outfits, and then she has a fancy dress, and then she turns to a frog, and then she comes
She
back and
even
being a
wears
frog
an
and has,
apron
like,
as a frog.
Yeah, she
oh,
does.
that's right. That's an
I'm
outfit.
going to just say that I dig the fact that she wears like 2 princess gowns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, she wears the blue one, which I don't think I remembered at all because when I saw her in that, I was like...
That's the
what?
one Charlotte put on her, right?
Yeah, and she looks like Cinderella, kind of. Like,
Yeah.
it's kind of blue. It's like a light
Like a-
blue, but it's really pretty. And then I was like, I don't remember her wearing
The
that.
green one
that's
is
actually
the
the
one
one-
everyone pictures from the wedding scene.
Yeah.
And when you see her at Disneyland, that's
Well, and
the
then
dress
she wears
she's
a
wearing.
white wedding dress at the end.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And
For
then
their, like, real person wedding.
Right.
Even though
Yeah.
it's not the real wedding
So
because
funny.
they already frogged.
they already frog wedding.
So funny. My third and final fun fact, Tiana is the only Disney princess to kill her film's villain.
Boom.
She kills Dr. Facilier. Which, Luis, does he freak you out?
Now,
because
hang on
he's
a minute.
kinda
Hold
like,
on, let's back that up
She
though.
does.
Does she kill him?
Because-
she breaks the
Well,
talisman.
So that,
And
which
then-
in turn kills him. So
well,
she
no,
did
Nah,
kill
nah,
him.
that's not
friends
what
on
kills
the
him.
other side.
The friends on the other side
I
come
got
out and
friends
take
on
him.
the
They
other
take his soul.
side. I'm not Naruto.
I'm pretty sure that Michelle just brought that up so she could sing that.
That's basically why.
Dr.
Dr. Facilier is a great, and I was talking about, usually when I think of Disney villains, my top 2 favorite Disney villains are Ursula and Cruella de Vil because I just love them. But Dr. Facilier is a very good villain, but I still can't get over the fact that he's wearing a crop top.
Well, here's the deal. It's funny that you say that because I was reading some fun facts before we started, and actually one of the animators, Bruce Smith, on the film, he described Dr. Facilier as the love child between Captain Hook and Cruella de Vil. So there you
Oh.
go.
I can see that because
You
he's
love-
kind of fashionable
Yeah.
So,
with the crop top.
so actually,
which I couldn't stop staring
I
at.
read that Dr. Facilier is fashioned after the voodoo god of magic.
Yes, I
And
read
if
that
you,
too.
If you
Ah.
Google voodoo god of magic, you'll see a dude that looks almost exactly like Dr. Facilier with less purple.
hmm
So
Okay.
Dr. Facilier.
So
is a
he's
little
like
bit more
fancy
stylish.
like Captain Hook and
Yeah.
Cruella de Vil, but he literally is like Senor Voodoo.
Yeah, and like piggybacking off of last week's movie, he's got those long, lanky legs like Jack
Like Jack
Skellington.
Skellington.
Yes,
too.
he does.
He's very long and lanky, which for some reason is like really cool in a villain when they're like
Mm-hmm.
long and lanky and
Yeah.
cool. And also,
Swanky.
in that Dr. Facilier song, when he, you know how his shadow, like, because they call him the Shadow Man, that's kind of like his villain alter ego, I guess
Yeah.
you could
Sure.
say. It's like a part of his villainous ways.
The Shadow
In that
Man.
song, he has this wallpaper in his room. It's like purple and it has like these prints on it.
Mm-hmm.
When his shadow passes
Yes!
over it,
Yes,
what
it's super
happens,
cool.
Emily?
His shadow, where the shadow is on the wallpaper, it turns into skull and crossbones.
And I told Andre when we watched it
So
because
cool.
I had actually like known that fact before the movie started, but I hadn't watched the movie enough to like notice it. So the whole
Point it out.
song, I was like, "Where is it? Where is it?" And it's pretty cool. I liked that.
I thought, could I call him Dr. F? Because
Sure.
Or Shadow Man.
yeah.
Shadow Man.
Well,
Whatever's easier
Shadow
to
Man was
say.
pretty cool. I really liked him as a villain. He, yes, Dr. F. Sounds like some kind of James Bond thing.
Dr. F.
But yeah, going back to that, I really enjoyed him because I guess I want to describe his character and the relationship with his shadow.
Mhm.
That's where I'm trying to get at. It's very similar kind of to Maui's and his tattoo.
Oh.
Like
okay.
they kind of check each other every now and then.
Yeah.
Because you see, like, in that opening scene where he sees, I don't know what his name is, the John Goodman voice character.
Oh, the Big Daddy.
Big
Yeah,
Daddy.
Big Daddy's over there. He gives like a stack of money to a kid for a newspaper, and then the
dude's
Shadow
cool.
Man puts a quarter in his pocket, and then his shadow takes it out for some reason. It's like,
yeah.
it kind of.
Mm.
It's almost like as if it's two characters.
Well, because correct me
it's
if
it's
I'm-
Shadow,
Yeah.
and then it's Man.
And correct me if I'm wrong. He sold his soul, right? Facilier
Yes.
to the other side. So the shadows kind of telling him what to do because
Yeah.
he sold his soul.
They
technically, right?
own him.
And I like that whole scene where he's asking his friends on the other side for help. Like, I need help to go find the frog, and all the shadows come out. It kind of reminds me of Mulan when they like ask the ancestors for help, and all their little ghosts come out.
Yeah.
It's actually very similar, but
Kind of a similar scene.
I think that that's a really good comparison because what you were saying about the shadow being like the liaison between the friends on the other side and
Yeah.
the real world, because you see the shadows are always doing like the super bad bidding, and like
Mhm.
Luis was saying, he's the one who's really pushing Dr. Facilier to like go beyond just being like a trickster.
Just a con
Mhm.
man.
Yeah,
or
he's not
whatever.
just a con man when the shadow's involved,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
he really can't do much more magic than what he can do just as a
than
human.
what he's given as
Right.
like a voodoo-esque.
Right.
Mhm.
But once he
magic.
uses that other side shadow magic and the voodoo, that's when it gets real.
Mm.
Real.
Which I
But
like
that's
a
when
lot.
he do
And
that
I will
voodoo that
say,
he do.
so you've been to New Orleans,
I have.
correct? The
I
thing
have.
that freaks me out about this movie, and which is funny because it didn't really freak me out when Oogie Boogie had little voodoo dolls running around, but for
Uh-huh.
some reason in this movie, it freaked me out when
Uh-huh.
they were running around like, "Are you ready?" And I
Are
was like,
you
"No, I'm not ready.
ready?"
Get out of here!"
I am not ready.
Was there like voodoo
Uh,
dolls everywhere in Orleans?
I wish you could see my face right now because this is a really serious. No, I know I'm not going to talk about it. Luis just gave me the face.
Oh.
So I will say
Taboo.
that no, there are not voodoo dolls everywhere in New
Okay,
Orleans.
okay.
But if I had a very respectful conversation with you outside of this podcast
Mhm.
about my experience with some said voodoo, then we would have that conversation off
But it
podcast.
is-
And it is very much a thing, and you very much need to be respectful so
Right.
that things don't be
I
going
think-
hoodoo, voodoo.
I
Yeah.
think what I
Man.
necessarily mean is that like it's kind of in the culture of New Orleans.
Oh, it's 900%
For
the
sure.
culture.
That's more of the question I'm asking because
Oh,
you
yeah.
don't walk around in downtown Los Angeles and run
No.
into a voodoo shop, you know.
No, but like think about. So I know this isn't giving any spoilers away because I haven't even seen Coco. But
Mhm.
when you think about Coco and you see all of the sugar skulls and you see all of the things that are embedded both in the culture
Uh-huh.
and into even like the Catholic religion, some of it you can't like separate from each other because it's part of how the area has been brought up and
Sure.
Mhm.
how just culture has evolved around the different manifestations, and that's how it is there as well. So
Mhm.
you see all of
Okay.
those types of things, but it's not like silly voodoo dolls. It's more like
Like legitimate.
the stuffs.
Right.
Just like how Halloween is like Salem.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And the
Gotcha.
witches that Luis also wouldn't let us go anywhere near. So
Yeah.
yes.
Mm.
So I would
Yes.
say that Dr. Facilier, like going back to the top 5 thing, top 5 villains for sure. I would like to know more about his origin story.
Like how
Like-
he got started doing voodoo. Like I assume
Like, why is he a villain?
that he was probably doing like magic tricks on the street or something like that.
I guess, but I feel like from other Disney movies, I kind of get a little bit more background from the villains. You know what I mean? Like Jafar, obviously he wants to be the Sultan and like things like that. Or Ursula got banished, stuff like that. But like, where's he coming from?
I think it might have to do because most of the time when you hear him really like telling a story versus just trying to persuade someone,
Mhm.
he's talking about how like he's playing on the people's emotions of how they've been belittled their whole life and
Right.
how they're trying to like make it to the top.
He's very
Uh-huh.
good
So you
at
kind of
that.
have to assume that he's lived that life too, right? I mean, he's a charlatan, right?
Mhm.
So he always is like connecting that common ground with them. So maybe he's like been that kid on the street. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just assuming.
Similar to Ursula. He's like, I'll give you what you want for a price.
Mhm.
Rumpelstiltskin.
Rumpelstiltskin. What a good
All
insult.
the magic comes with a price.
Well, it's pretty cool that we're talking about Dr. F right at the beginning, because this story or this movie really did not waste any time.
Yeah.
As soon as the movie start, I mean, it kind of built. It started to build off slowly with like Tiana's background, her family, but then once they're adults, you see Dr. F, and then as soon as the boat comes into the story, you see one of my top 5 favorite princes. Prince Naveen.
What's
And
the top 5 favorite prince of yours?
we will not have this discussion this early on in the podcast, but yes.
Okay.
We will me and you, Michelle, we will save that conversation later on in the podcast.
Okay.
But going back to this, I really enjoyed the fact that it did not, you didn't lose much time in this movie.
Yeah.
And sometimes you felt rushed, and I understand where you're coming from, where you would like to see a little bit of an origin story, and I'll agree with you with Dr. F, but I do appreciate the fact that once Tiana was older, it's Naveen and Dr. F immediately cross paths,
which was really perfect. But I mean, also obviously the reason I didn't give you as much background story about the Shadow Man is because it's not about him. It's about Tiana and her hardworking self, and we got her background story, and I'm perfectly happy with that.
Speaking with her background, I think this is the reason why I like this movie so much, but to me, and I'm not saying it's the first Disney movie, but I'm saying it is one of the best indications in a Disney movie of what a good, not a good family, but like what strong family values are.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, definitely.
Like talking about hard work, talking about love, talking about what really matters. And I like how every time they talked about Tiana's father, like, yes, he was tired, yes, he worked, but he always came home and was a really good dad.
Yeah.
Like, what a
Tiana's
concept.
father, by the way,
Great
is
dude.
gorgeous. Just saying, I saw him come on.
She said this several times while we were watching the movie.
God.
Top 5 Disney dads for sure.
Hey guys,
Nobody else noticed that?
correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't the guy who was the original Roddy and Iron Man voice him?
Yes, Rhodey.
Yes, Roddy.
Terrence Howard voices Tiana's dad, and he did a really good job. I didn't recognize that it was him.
Well, you know what?
At
I'm
first.
sure that there's some people who agree with me out there that Tiana's dad is gorgeous.
Top 5 Disney I can't stop laughing.
You know, the top Disney dads for me are Tiana's dad and
top 5.
Mufasa. Okay, top 2 Disney dads.
Wait a
right
minute.
there.
One of those dudes is a lion.
It's fine that it's a lion. Don't act like you never thought Mufasa wasn't
Go ahead.
a good-looking lion with a nice shiny mane and a good father.
All right, I'm gonna have to reassess my relationship with Michelle.
I
Anyways.
can't stop laughing. Oh my God.
Someone will agree with me out there.
I want to see someone say
All the lion lovers out
All
there,
right,
shout out.
listen, to my listeners out there, not even about the lion. If you agree with me that Tiana's dad is very attractive, Instagram, #top Disney dad.
I mean, I thought Pocahontas was very attractive, Michelle, so I'm going to let you have this one. I
Thank
can't
you.
fight with you on
Yeah,
that
no,
one.
I'm not saying that.
Mufasa, the lion.
We're not watching The Lion King, okay? We're watching The Princess and the Frog.
Okay.
Anyways,
Ooh.
I'm not the only person to think that out there. Okay?
Speaking of
Sure.
her parents, though,
Yeah.
Luis is so funny with like voice actors.
Mhm.
We're watching these movies, and he did this with Pocahontas too, where he was like, "Oh, it's Mel Gibson," and I was like, "Oh no!" Right?
Mhm.
He did that with where he was like, "Oh my God, this guy who played Rhodey, as a dad."
Roddy.
Yeah, as Luis likes to call him, Roddy. It's definitely
Roddy.
Sergeant Rhodes. Rhodey. Oh God. Okay. Anyhow, so
Roddy.
stop. Okay. So then the mom starts talking, and he's like, "That's Oprah. That's Oprah." And I'm like, what? She said one word. No, that's Oprah. Literally.
I don't know how I got it that fast. Like
I didn't know it was Oprah.
It was Oprah.
I
Just
knew-
so you
Until
know.
Andre told me.
I had remembered that
It was
Oprah was
Oprah.
in this movie, but I misremembered and thought that she played Mama Odie.
Yes. Okay. This is what I was gonna say because we were in the car and the "It don't matter what you look like," that song that Mama Odie sings came on, and I was like, "Who would they find to sing this song?" And you were like, "Yeah, that's Oprah." And I was like, "No way, that's Oprah."
That's
but
totally
I just
Oprah.
believed him because he's Andre. I was like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, sure, that's Oprah."
Yeah, I
No,
usually know my stuff.
it's not
I was wrong.
Oprah. Oprah is Tiana's mom.
Yes.
She did an excellent role in playing Tiana's mom.
She did.
But the main reason why I knew it was her is because I had seen her in another movie. the Butler, and spoiler alert, she wasn't the greatest in The Butler, but
okay.
you know, that's why I recognized her voice
And
instantly.
the reason she was in this movie too, I think the directors had pitched the idea to Oprah. What did it say on like a car ride to Disneyland or something like that?
She came on as a technical consultant first before she was cast,
but
and then
before the movie was even like being planned, they had pitched it to Oprah while they were at Disneyland or something like that. I had read it.
I read that
online.
as well.
And she was like, "This is a great movie. Make sure I'm a part of it."
Yeah.
So they gave her a role.
So she got like a really cool role because Tiana's mom is legit all the way through it.
Oh yeah,
So-
for sure.
she's great. There's
She's a
one part
hard-looking
where
woman.
they're like in the building of the restaurant that Tiana just bought, and and Tiana says something like, "Isn't it?
Can't you just see it?"
Can't you just see it?" And the mom's just like, "Yes."
She's like, "Oh Lord."
Oh my. No, that's fantastic.
It was great.
Well, it's really interesting that you brought up the singing for Mama Odie because I was really impressed with the with the singing in this movie.
Yes.
And as we've talked about in other episodes, a lot of times voice actors and singers aren't the same people just because not all voice actors have fabulous singing voices. But apparently this was the first 2D film since the Beauty and the Beast where all of the voice actors were also the singing voices as well. So I thought that was really cool, and that would have been cool if Oprah had really sang that. But no, she wasn't.
No,
she wasn't the singing part.
She wasn't Mama Odie.
But all of the actors sang their parts, which I think
Which
is really
is
cool.
super cool.
Very, very cool.
It's awesome. Anika Nani Rose as Tiana did a fantastic job. She has a great voice. Like in the first second of the movie, it's her voice singing. I was like, oh, is they gonna start with a song already?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I know. That was actually really cool because I can't think of another Disney. I mean, there's some other Disney movies where there is music that starts right within the movie, obviously, but there's not many where the princess herself or the main character
Just start singing.
Singing right with the with the downbeat. It was fantastic.
Exactly. And it's her
It was
adult
very
voice
good.
singing, and then it pans down to show her as a kid.
Love Tiana as a little
Oh my
girl.
gosh.
Oh, I ain't never kissed no frog. No frog.
Never, ever.
Well, it's cute because
So
I think
cute.
they're getting so sophisticated with their child animation.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you think about it, or at least for me, when I think about recent portrayals of children, they've gotten so much cuter and less, I would say, corny representations of kids.
Sure.
Because, sorry, Peter Pan's not my favorite. I know a lot of people love it. Michelle's giving me balls right
I
now.
love Peter.
But think of what the kids look like. They look
Yeah.
like very stereotypical versions of I mean, I feel like I could have drawn that.
They're little
Sure.
British kids.
They're
Yeah.
I didn't say
They're
anything
British
about
kids.
them being British.
Hey.
But
He's from London.
well, yeah, but I mean, stereotypical any kids, not just stereotypical British kids.
My bad.
But think of the way they drew Rapunzel as a baby. Think of the way they drew
Right.
Moana
and even
and Tiana.
Anna and Elsa. They
Even-
look cute.
oh,
as
yeah.
babies.
These kids are obviously their eyes are 7 million times too big for their faces, and that's part of the
Right.
problem.
Yeah.
Well, part of the
The
good
cuteness problem.
the cuteness overload.
I love it.
But they are making these kids so just so fervent and have so much personality, and I think that's what makes you love them right off the bat.
Yeah.
And Charlotte too.
Oh,
This little girl, she's so
Charlotte.
cute. Oh, but she's
We can't
even
talk about
funnier.
Charlotte yet. I have to
What?
bring something up before we talk about Charlotte.
Andre's excited to talk about Charlotte.
I'm very excited to talk about Charlotte. But you mentioned Peter Pan, and I'm realizing now that this movie has a ton of connections with Peter
Yeah,
Pan.
Yes, it does.
So, spoiler alert: Ray dies, and he becomes
Evangeline.
a star
He does.
up in the sky right next to Evangeline.
Yes.
Effectively making Evangeline the second star to the right.
Yes.
So this movie takes place before Peter Pan
Yes, it
in terms
does.
of
time.
chronological order. There's also the Shadow Man with his shadow, just like Peter. Oh, okay. Excuse me. And then
See?
there's another
puede.
one that I can no longer remember.
Oh no, what's the last
I
one?
don't remember. I lost it.
Is Ray like Tinkerbell? Is that what you were gonna say?
That is not what I was going to say at all.
They're both sassy.
But sure.
We're gonna take ya. We're gonna take ya. We're gonna take all the way down.
Well, speaking of that song, which I thought was called "Going Down the Bayou," apparently it's called "Gonna Take You There." That's actually one of my favorite scenes
It's my favorite
because
song.
I love how the fireflies are lit in that scene.
Yeah.
Because the animation's I mean it's 2D, but it's pretty flat most of the time.
Mhm.
But when you see the fireflies, the way that they have them glowing.
Yeah.
I mean, I know they glow,
It's like-
obviously, but
Like almost all the animation is flat, like you said, except for like the magic. When
Exactly.
the magic comes out is when it really
it gets real
shines.
fancy.
Yeah.
So the fancy magic flies. Oh, I just love that scene. It's quite beautiful.
And they're going through the swamp. You get to see
Gonna
all
take
the
you.
swamp stuff.
Oh, I
And the
I like
grandma
that song.
lightning bug.
Oh,
my
she'd be
God.
flashing people.
Oh yeah, that was so funny.
Oh,
There's
my.
like one line from that song, and I have to look it up because it gets me every time, and I'm gonna find it because it's so funny. And it's a
Gonna
talking
take
part
that,
though, so it
gonna
might not
take
be.
that,
Oh,
gonna take
maybe
all
it's
the way
included in the
down.
song. No, it's at the beginning.
Go
He's
ahead
like
down
introducing
the
his
bayou.
like people. He's like, all right, Lulu, just fell on the bouncing butt. Okay, and then he says,
Oh Lord.
oh, he said
She has
we
this
got the whole family. There goes Mimi, cousin Bruto, old grandmama, your lad on. And then the grandma like goes like this, boom, and
She, like, smacks
hits her
her butt.
booty, and the light turns on. So good.
Michelle's got this Creole accent on another level, which is funny
She's doing
because they
it up.
called themselves Cajun, or he called himself Cajun, but they
Cajun, yeah.
definitely had like the Creole vibe.
Sure.
I'm just gonna
Yeah.
throw it out there,
He's
but
definitely putting a
Love
bunch
it.
of French
And
in
then when they
there.
were talking about all the food, or when
Ugh.
Lewis wants
Food.
to be human, the was he an alligator or a crocodile?
I think he
I
was.
believe he's an
A crocodile, an alligator.
alligator.
I don't
Well,
know.
I
I
think,
think
that
he's a
it's-
gator.
He's a gator.
He's a gator.
He's a gator.
A gator dial.
So when he wants to like be human, like how does he have all this knowledge about all of these dishes? He's like, I want some gumbo and just everything.
He knows a
Because
lot
he goes
about
on the
food,
riverboats.
and he knows a lot about
Oh,
jazz.
yeah, the river boats that
I
come
think it's
by.
because he's like all up on the riverboats.
he like stalks the
and/or-
riverboats.
Yeah.
He learns from there.
Mhm.
Okay, that's funny. What do you guys think about the scene where Naveen and Tiana are frogs, and there's those 3 frog catching guys, and they're trying to catch them?
Dude.
Oh my God.
The frog hunters.
Yes.
So I
So
read a little bit about
funny.
them, and they're kind of modeled after the 2 guys from Of Mice and Men, like Lenny and the little
that
one.
makes really that
and
makes
then,
a lot of
and
sense.
then they
actually
have
does
like
make sense,
a father figure there or whatever.
That's actually that's funny because I wrote down Three Stooges
Oh,
because
Oh,
holy
yes.
moly, they're ridiculous. But actually, I like that better because they were very much like those characters.
I was just
It
about to
was
say I
funny.
like Three Stooges better because at one point, dude is just beating him with a bat over and over and
Oh,
over again.
I thought
One
I was gonna die.
gets shot like right in the crotch. It was crazy.
Luis literally went, ooh.
So did Andre. He was all, ugh.
Me and Michelle.
Okay, so going back to the the animal who likes to play the trumpet,
Louise.
Lewis, right? Okay,
Luis like, I don't know who that is.
scientifically speaking, he is actually a crocodile because his beak was more
His beak?
V-shaped,
Snout.
or his snout was more V-shaped, and alligator snouts are more U-shaped. So he was a crocodile.
Let's be real. I wasn't looking at his beak. I was looking at the fact that Luis is huge. I
I
mean, Lewis.
We don't know
Sorry.
his name. 'cause
he is a very, very big
Well, I
gator.
think it has to
So he's
do
a
with their
crocodile.
teeth too. I think that like one of their like crocodiles' teeth go over the bottom lip while the other ones don't. I don't know.
Like
We need to go ask
underbite
Steve
versus
Irwin.
overbite.
He would know.
Michelle, I have terrible news for you.
Oh, okay.
Two.
Now that we're on the subject,
Soon.
you guys want to know a funny story?
We are all giving her a look right now.
When I was a little kid, all I wanted to do was be a zookeeper, and I was obsessed with the Crocodile Hunter, and I would watch it 24/7. And I had a little jar, like a bean jar that you like get beans out of.
Crocodile
Bean
Hunter.
jar.
A can. Okay, it was a can, like a soup can.
Yeah.
And I would put my money in there, and it said trip to Australia money. And then when he died, I cried, so I didn't save any more money. It was okay.
Luis, she does know that he's dead. He was waiting that whole story to make sure that Michelle knew.
I know.
I was getting you confused with Crocodile Dundee, but I do know who you're talking about.
There's not a knife.
That's a knife.
This
Oh,
is a
geez.
knife.
That's
Have you
funny.
seen that movie?
Crocodile Dundee.
I have not. Sorry, no.
Oh my god, it's not a Disney movie. But
Awkward.
Anyway,
it's really not though. It's quite a
So are
movie.
you ready to talk about Charlotte then?
yes.
Okay.
The non-charlatan.
Okay, so I love Charlotte so much.
Yes.
Go ahead,
From her
Andre.
first,
Actually,
her-
we'll let Andre and Louis, but Andre, you go first.
from like her first words, I don't remember what they are specifically, but hang on, let me see. I wrote down. Where is it? I wrote down this. I said, okay, I love this little rich Southern white girl, Charlotte. She's hilarious the whole way through. That was the first thing I said. As soon as she started speaking, I was like, this girl is the best.
The way she talks is like, I spend like I send her to church. I'll tea. She's so funny.
And she's not just like I think upon my first watch, like just assuming that Tiana had like this rich white girl friend that she was going to be kind of like stuck up or mean or something like that. But she turns out to be like the best human being on the planet.
That's what Luis and I were saying the whole time. You almost want to hate her. Like you're waiting for her to like
waiting for her to mess up or do something racist.
Well, and a couple times too, you're like, ooh, this could be it. Ooh,
right.
Ooh.
Or make fun of Tiana for being poor or something like that. But she never fails. She's the best friend.
Tiana
ever.
like. She knocks over the thing of beignets. What does Charlotte do? Takes her up to her room, puts her in a like freaking princess gown.
Yes, she like and all the while she's like trying to get with her Prince Charming man of her dreams, and she completely drops that and is like, "Oh, Prince Naveen, I'll be right back," and she goes to immediately help.
Well, and
Tiana.
that whole thing succeeds literally. My favorite Charlotte scene, which I'm sure, I mean, it's everyone's favorite Charlotte scene, when she's like crying because Prince Charming's not coming, and she does like, she hears that he's coming, and she does like, mascara, blush, lipstick, mole.
She drops a little mole on her face.
Perfection.
Funny. God, I love her. And I like the part where after she's done dressing Tiana in her like pretty blue dress, she like, you know when you wear a strapless dress, you always have to pull it up. She like pulls up. She's all, well, back out into the fray. she just goes right out there. Oh.
She's adorable.
Every woman has been there, so I feel like we understand that.
God, so funny.
But I think that it's extra good. Extra good.
Extra
oh my
good.
God. It's extra fantastic that I think Luis and Andre both like her too, because I think it's easy for me and Michelle to think she's funny, but I'm glad that everyone else thinks she's funny.
And she never
hilarious.
tries to change Tiana. She lets Tiana be who she is.
Mm-hmm.
I like the fact that she pretty much she marched at the beat of her own drum, and everybody and it was sassy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And what was sassy about it was you had to keep up with her.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I love the scene where her dad and her are in Tiana's work, and they're explaining how Prince Naveen is gonna get there, and before John Goodman can even get a word in, she finishes his sentence.
Tell him, Big Daddy. Tell him, Big Daddy.
And then I think Big Daddy puts a beignet in her mouth to shut her up, and then right when he's about to spill it, she spills the beans for him anyways. And
she kept stealing
funny.
beignets out of his mouth.
And I think too, like the culmination of her character is at the end of the movie when she's like gonna kiss Naveen. She's like, "Wait, you're Naveen, like the frog?" And then she was like, "They're gonna get married," and she was like, "Okay." And then Tia and Naveen obviously love each other, and she's just like, "Well, okay then." Like
she just takes it in stride. She's like, "Oh well, my best friend loves you, so I guess."
And then she's
I'll find another
so
prince.
cute about it. I'll find another prince, fine. And then at the end, when she's like, "Who would have known the prince would have had a brother?" and it's like a little
He's
freaking
like 6
kid.
years old.
And she's like, "Well, I've waited this long."
Well, I mean, technically speaking, let's assume they're 18, 19.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah, they're probably.
That's pretty normal, probably. Then
13-year age difference isn't that drastic.
when you're older, yeah.
But
she just gotta wait again.
it usually is pretty drastic the other way. It's not drastic the other way around, but with a woman waiting for a child,
yeah,
I
true.
mean, not to say
She's
it wasn't
gonna get
common.
her prince, dude. Okay.
Oh, well, yeah, she is.
Right.
No one's going to get in her
Love
way.
I need Princess and
love
the
it.
Frog too, just so Charlotte can get her happy.
Yeah.
And then they will go from being best friends to soul sisters.
That's right.
So good.
I loved her voice, and I'm kind of surprised that her voice actress doesn't do quite as much acting. Her name is Jennifer Cody, and she has 25 credits, mainly TV. She's done Blue Buds and a couple other of
she was perfect for her.
voice work, but she's amazing. I absolutely love the voice of Charlotte. Her southern accent is
She
absolutely
was
fantastic.
great.
Perfect.
Well, it's funny that you bring up the accent, because I feel like in this movie, we were talking about it before we started recording, and Michelle goes, "I didn't know that Naveen was from a different country or that he had an accent."
Because I'd only seen it once, and I was like, Maldonia? Where the heck is that?
Maldonia.
Not real.
First off, yeah, not a real place.
real
So then
place.
what the heck accent is that?
It was like an
Yeah?
east.
Yeah.
European,
yeah.
but French.
Because I always assumed that he was African American too, but guess not. Because I've only seen it once, and it was 8 years ago.
Well, there are
Yeah.
people from African descent in Europe. There's actually
in Maldonia.
well,
Yeah, in Maldonia
Yes,
for
in
sure.
Maldonia.
He's part of the royal
This
family.
made-up country. Okay.
yes,
Yeah. But
all over Europe actually, not just in the made-up country.
I know,
Boom.
but you know what I mean.
I do.
Okay.
yeah.
I do. But the one thing I want to say about Naveen, which I'm sure Luis has more to say about him, but what do I love about him? He is like 100. Oh, Michelle said nothing, but 100% chill with being a frog.
He gets it. He's like, well, I guess
I'm just gonna say he like
gonna be a frog
walks
now.
off the boat, not obviously caring that he doesn't have any money. Let's play some music on my ukulele. Let's run around. Let's kiss some girls. Let's go to this party if we have to. Oh, turn into a frog? Okay, well, cool.
You know
Guess I'll
what?
just fix this.
If he were to actually have a family in real life, he would be part of the Marley family because he was like, don't worry about a thing because I'm going to be a frog no matter what. Don't worry.
Okay,
I
no more song,
love-
please.
I shall never sing again.
Oh, no.
Oh,
Just
man.
put a whole
Can we
I
curtain
liked
on
your
his
singing.
house.
She just wants you to stop talking about Naveen, Louie. Tell us.
No. That's not true. I'm gonna say something. So
Oh, okay.
Uh-oh.
you know how I liked
Stop.
Jack
Everybody be quiet.
Skellington because he was arrogant and it was funny.
Mm-hmm.
It's not funny when Naveen's a frog and he's like, oh, well, just remember when they're like on the little river and they're trying to get away from the crocodiles and they get into the tree and he's like, well, we might as well get comfortable because they're gonna be here all night. And Tiana like smacks him. I'm like, yeah, you go, girl. They smack him. It's not cute when he's a frog. I don't know why. It's okay when it's a skeleton though.
Louie, are you going to say your favorite line of the movie?
My favorite line is the first time they interact with each other. This is right after Tiana is wishing upon the star and thinking it's foolish, and then the frog shows up and she's like, what, do you want a kiss? And then you just kind of, you would expect the frog not to say nothing, and then all of a sudden he's like, kissing would be nice, yeah.
No, I hate it.
I
Kissing
loved
would be
it.
nice, yeah.
I loved it, but here's the deal, though.
Friggin' frogs.
That wasn't even my favorite. That's not
Frickin'
why I
frogs.
love Naveen.
Okay.
The reason why I love Naveen is because he really was let's make the best out of it kind of person,
he
you
was.
know?
Yeah.
He didn't care that he was cut off by his family. I mean, that was the last thing on his mind. The only reason why it was even brought up was because, his fat little butler brought it up.
Right,
But if
like
his
No, but I think that's why he went to New Orleans was to find a rich girl.
Really? Because it seemed to me he went there to have some fun and not care about anything.
Well,
in
he
the
was
world.
gonna have some fun too, but he also needed to find a rich girl.
it seemed to me like his parents disowned him. They told him to go out there and either get married or get a job or whatever. And I feel like he took it as like, oh, I get to go to America and I get to have a bunch of fun.
I
And
feel like they were like,
Okay, maybe,
Lawrence.
yeah.
yes,
You.
Lawrence, you gotta keep this dude on track, please.
Oh, yeah.
He's a mess. He's a tiny little Tony Stark.
No wonder. Tony Stark.
No, but I think that if Lawrence hadn't been there, like Louis said, he totally would have just made the best of his situation, and he probably wouldn't have found a job necessarily. He probably would have been.
No, he would have been a mess.
He probably would have been a mess, but he might have ended up just like playing music on the street and
Yeah,
you
no,
know,
no. he
having a
would-
grand old time.
Definitely, he wouldn't have met Tiana, but he probably would have been fine. But
Yeah.
it definitely was Lawrence's like quote unquote guidance that was
butlery.
keeping him. Ugh.
Where'd they get this British butler from?
Yeah,
Oh, I
Not
guess.
once, guys, that
from the
I
West
guess
Europe.
Britain.
I don't know.
I never got an inkling that he was after money at all throughout the movie.
No.
Not once. And not even when, actually, no, I'm sorry. I'm going to take that back. Only once did he ever care about money. And that's when he knew what Tiana's dream was.
Right.
And he was
And
going
he
to
wanted to
marry
get it.
Charlotte to get her money for that reason.
That's right. He's not
And
greedy.
that's what I was just gonna say. I didn't like him at the beginning of the movie, but his character development was very good, and I did really, really like him.
Yeah.
Near the end of the movie,
He was like
he changed for the better.
He was like spoiled and arrogant and accustomed
Yeah.
to his privilege, but at the
lifestyle.
same time, he wasn't like constantly chasing that, and he wasn't
No.
like necessarily trying to usurp Big Daddy or anything like that. He wasn't
No,
trying
he
to gain
wasn't. And I really
fortune.
did like him at the end of the movie. I will say, Okay, while I'm complaining about them being frogs,
Complaining.
okay.
How dare they?
Okay.
Go ahead.
So Naveen looks like okay as a frog. He's like fine, but why does Tiana looks weird as a frog? I'm just gonna say it. Like the froggy, she has a weird froggy look to her.
She's got a weird froggy body.
She's a frog, Michelle.
Yes, all frogs look weird. I mean, when do you see a frog winning Miss America?
I don't know. I like the way Naveen looks as a frog, but the way Tiana looks at a frog was like kind of weird to me. Like the animation wise, like the way that her froggy
Froggy
was.
body.
Can I go? Can I take us back to Naveen? And
Yeah.
just because, like I said, he's probably my favorite prince. Okay.
Yes.
Went from
Okay.
top 5 to being my favorite prince.
Number 1.
Typical Luis.
Okay, going back to he doesn't care about money. Seems almost to me at some point like he was trying to escape from under his parents' thumb. And
Sure, like
not that
he gets to
didn't-
America and finally has
Yeah,
like, some freedom.
Not that he didn't care about the money. It's just he really wanted to be from underneath their thumb. He did not want to, live the life they wanted for him. He wanted to make his own, path in the way, similar to Pocahontas. Which path will she take? And that's kind of like apart from his, life-loving attitude. That's the reason why I thought he was a bee's knees.
Now, I
Bee's
think
knees.
I
Frog's
think,
knees.
and I'll ask Emily's opinion on this.
Frog's
I
knees.
think before I had met Andre, as I'm with my nice, loving boyfriend who I love very much, totally would have fallen for some guy like Naveen. And maybe that's why
But
I'm
would
like
you
with
have-
Tiana on this one. I'm like, no,
Would you have
get outta
changed
here,
his
Naveen.
ways and made him?
I'm pretty sure Andre was Naveen.
Wait a
Andre
minute.
was
Hey, hold
Naveen?
on.
Andre?
Hold on a second.
Naveen, no, I mean, Andre was
What do you
super
mean?
cool before you. Just kidding. No, we already had this conversation. He was not.
Hey, I like what you said, Ben.
Hold on.
Go back 2 seconds.
Hold on. He was just like Naveen minus the ugly
The
frog
money.
part.
Oh.
Okay,
Oh.
so, but I mean, he's
Besides
pretty.
being green.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Andre's funny. He's fun-loving. He doesn't care about,
He likes
He-
music.
He likes
Mhm.
music.
He likes to sing.
So
I didn't know how to cook for
The
a
only
while.
thing
Don't know how
is-
to cook.
I know how to cook now.
Do you know how to mince?
I wrote this down during the movie. Every time I cut vegetables, I think about that scene where he's mincing the mushrooms.
Yep.
And I do it. I try to do it just like Tiana does it, super fast, and it never works.
Yeah,
I,
well, you better watch out because you're gonna
And
like.
you-
I end
guys,
up I end
snap
up
up on your
mincing like
fingers.
Naveen, and they're all
Mushrooms
huge
are
pieces.
Andre's favorite vegetable. He puts them in our pasta.
Yeah.
He puts them in our eggs. He puts them in everything we cook. And when we go to the grocery store, he's like, we need some mushrooms. So now every time I see a mushroom in a movie, whether it's like Alice in Wonderland or this one or Ratatouille, Andre's the mushroom.
I'm the mushroom.
You're not
I'm not
even
just
the
a person
person
who
eating
likes
the
mushrooms. I
mushroom.
am the
Person
mushroom.
who likes
I am so glad that we're not dating Andre.
She
because
just
you
called
wanna
me
know what
fungus.
do you want to know what I don't like?
Yeah.
Fungus. That's disgusting.
Mushrooms are delicious.
No, they're not.
Nah,
Yes.
nah, Andre. She just thinks you're a fun guy.
Thank you.
Andre is a fun guy, but I like mushrooms.
You are a fun guy,
Mhm.
but ew. Okay. Moving on from the fungus conversation.
Anyways.
Moving along.
Anyways.
Do we
Um,
want to know about some Easter eggs in this business?
Yes,
Sure.
Easter eggs.
Okay.
Hit us
Let's
with
talk.
them.
Some of these are very, very easy to spot once you know them. Some
Okay.
of them maybe not so much. In the title scene, meaning when the title of the movie pops up, not so
Mhm.
much the first scene.
Right.
Aladdin's
the
carpet
kids.
is being, what do you call that?
Like when you
Flapped
shake out
when
the
you shake out your
dirt.
carpet.
Yeah.
Yes. So carpet is being shook out from someone on the second story balcony. Boom.
As they're like showing New Orleans and stuff
Yes.
like
Very
that.
nice.
2, King Trident is on a Mardi Gras New Orleans float.
Oh yeah, that's towards the end.
Yes.
Right.
Mhm.
And I read some sources about their supposedly an Aladdin themed float behind it, but I personally wouldn't look at that and say that was Aladdin. But King Trident was like King
Yeah,
Trident.
that one is like,
Right?
he was there.
This one's from a different movie, but we've said before that there were some Easter eggs in Frozen for other movies, like how we talked about the chocolate from Candy Rush,
Yeah.
Mhm.
from Wreck-It Ralph. But when Elsa is standing on her balcony at her coronation and then she's looking down at her subjects, there's supposed to be Tiana and Naveen there. And you can actually see them in the left-hand corner, and Tiana's wearing her green dress. Similarly, in that same scene, in a different part, you see Rapunzel and Flynn Rider from the back. So really, everybody and their mother came to Elsa's coronation, apparently. But I don't know how...
the newer
Prince and
princesses,
princess.
the newer generation.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just don't know how in the world Tiana would have been there, because, I mean, time difference? I don't know where all the time settings were. I know.
Calculating.
It's
Yeah,
here.
I don't know.
It's neither here nor there.
Oh, well.
That's the thing.
But this one I really like. So when Dr. Facilier is reading Naveen's tarot cards, right? The last card he pulls out is of Naveen's future, right? Because he does past, present, future. The future one is of him with a whole bunch of money, right? He's like playing the ukulele, and he's on like all this money and stuff. Well, he's laying with that money on a lily pad. Boom. Because he says something like, you need the green.
It's the green you need.
Andre really likes that song.
Right?
I love that song. That's one of my favorite villain songs.
Well,
of all
FYI, he's
time.
on a lily pad, so there you go.
Whoa.
Makes sense. Speaking of songs, we've been talking about before how like the songs kind of make the movies and things like that. And I feel like in a typical Disney movie, I'm going to say 5 songs, possibly. This song has like 11. I mean, this movie has like 11 songs in it.
Yeah.
It has a lot.
And
that's what I was
they hit pretty
thinking.
quick.
Yeah, pretty quick. Like within the first 20 minutes, I feel like there was like 3 songs already.
Yeah.
Like the Almost There one and New Orleans, and then Dr. Facilier was right in there. There's a lot of songs. And Andre, what's that credit song?
Oh my
Guess what, y'all?
God.
There's an R&B credit song in this movie.
Keeping it tallies, listeners. Another R&B.
And this one is by Neo, who
Andre love a Neo.
I love Neo. Neo is one of my favorite R&B artists, especially when I was in high school. That was like the height of my Neo knowledge. And
Neo knowledge.
and this movie came out, and Neo starts playing in the credits of the movie, and
he was jamming.
Yeah, so I sang all the words to the song when the movie ended last night.
So funny.
Well, that's
Michelle's
hilarious
chagrin.
because literally the movie ended. Luis hears like the first beat of that song, and he looks at me like so fast, like, "Oh my God, Emily, it's R&B." I'm like, "I hear it."
Ooh, yeah.
Come on, you can't have Princess and the Frog without an R&B song at the end.
What you trying to say?
Because it's Neo, that's why.
What does Neo have to do with it?
Because if anyone's going to replace the Peebo Bryson, it's going to be a Neo. That's why.
Okay.
Neo Peebo.
Okay.
Whoa.
Neo Peebo.
So what would you say is your favorite song from this movie? Because I feel like when people think of Princess and the Frog, they think of the Almost There song as kind of her anthem. But then when you go and see Mickey and the Magical Map, it's the song that Mama Odie sings.
But Tiana's singing it.
And
we realized that last night, and I was like,
Interesting.
Hermana.
So what would you say is your favorite song? 'Cause there's so many.
My favorite song, I would probably say the New Orleans song, the first song.
New Orleans.
The opening song.
Yeah, I really like it because to me, I think that it did the best job kind of representing the area and like what music actually sounds like there.
Yes.
The other ones were Disney-fied songs, which isn't bad. I mean, I love me some Disney songs. They're my ballad to life. But I think that one was very location specific and appropriate. I really liked it.
Down in New Orleans.
My favorite song is "We're Gonna Dig Ya, We're Gonna Dig Ya, We're Gonna Dig Ya all the way." I don't know why
she
that
just
one
really
is,
wanted to sing that.
It's so
Gonna
funny
take you
to
there.
me because if you didn't know, the voice of Ray is
Jim Cummings,
who's also the voice of Tigger and Winnie the Pooh. So he's just an amazing voice actor. So like just the fact that Ray's singing it cracks me up. I love that song. A close second would be the Mama Odie song. That's a good one too. Of course, I like the funny ones.
Okay, so the one that you mentioned, M's, I can't remember. I don't remember the lyrics too much to that. Can you kind of say them?
Catch him down in New Orleans.
Okay, thank you. All right, I just wanted to make sure because my favorite song is actually, the Halfway There song.
Almost there.
Almost there.
Almost there, halfway there.
Almost
What's the
there.
difference? It's still indicating that they're not there.
Halfway there.
Exactly.
Almost there. Almost could be way more than halfway.
3/4 there.
How about
It's a good
we're
song.
not there yet at all, so the distance doesn't matter.
And I would say that that's one of the classic ones because they do the reprise to that one. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Where they do the a sad reprise because she didn't get her place because those racist bank owners were like, no.
I was almost there.
That is so sad.
Yeah,
It
they're-
is true though.
They were totally racist bank owners. They were like, I don't know if a woman from your background
background
could necessarily handle any of
I was
this.
like, you don't know nothing. Fine. No beignets for you, sir. When she opens up her restaurant and she's serving
No
those beignets,
beignets.
they
beignets.
don't get any.
We would reserve the right to refuse service to anyone,
Including
especially
Bank
y'all
owners.
bankers.
Okay, here's my thing about that real fast. I know, Andre, you have to say your song
Yes.
choice, but I want to say, and we kind of touched on this earlier, but I'm so happy with Charlotte, and I'm so happy with Big Daddy, whatever his
Mhm.
name was.
Big Daddy.
Big Daddy.
Big Daddy LaBeouf.
Because he totally could have been a racist,
Right.
white.
Yeah, and he wasn't.
They easily could have done
You
that.
know what I mean? Because of just the time period.
Mhm.
But the way he spoke to Tiana's mom, like, you're the best
Mhm.
seamstress
Yes.
in New Orleans. Like, he
She is.
didn't like sugarcoat it and be like, well, you know, you're a very nice little lady
Right.
with a, you know, no. He
No.
said you're the best
The
seamstress.
best seamstress.
They are
And
very good people.
I really appreciated the way that they took that because yes, I get it. It's PC, and yes, it may not have been as
Historically accurate or
yes,
whatever.
maybe not as historically accurate, but sometimes it's nice to see. I don't know. Those were
Some
like,
nice stuff, you know?
and it's not.
oh my
And
God,
it's-
what a concept!
Exactly. And it's not out of the
Something
realm of
nice.
possibility that
Yeah.
totally could have happened in that
There were.
time.
I'm sure there were.
Yeah. I'm sure there are
families
plenty
like
of
that.
families like that.
I just appreciated it. I think
I-
it
I
was really
appreciate
nice.
his character a lot, especially since he's everything he does is for his daughter. You can tell
Yes.
he's just a nice guy. He's not, like you said, he loves Tiana's family,
Mhm.
the mom. He appreciates them so much. He doesn't throw his money at everyone necessarily, like trying like he
Like, he
lets-
doesn't like do it
yeah.
in a manipulative way,
Right.
like to buy.
It's for his daughter. Like
Right.
everything
Yeah.
he does is for his baby girl type of thing, which I appreciate.
So I just wanted to throw that little tidbit in there because like I said earlier, you're looking for the problem almost. Like you're
Right.
waiting for
waiting for
someone
it.
to
Yeah.
say something degrading, and they don't
The
really.
bank owners of
Yeah.
all people.
Yeah.
Come on,
It's
get outta
interesting.
here.
Like, I'm going to get to my favorite song in a minute. But I read that when this movie was first announced, it was announced as The Frog Princess, not The Princess and the Frog.
Okay.
And there were some plot differences. Like, I think Tiana's original name was, like, Maddie. And her
That's
mom
cute.
wasn't a
Maddie.
seamstress. She was, like, a chamberwoman and stuff like that. And so...
Mm.
Oh, so she
like
wasn't a
there
waitress.
was some negative response from like the black community and stuff like that when they first announced it. So I'm happy that they were able to make those changes
Oh,
before
I see.
the movie came
And
out.
Okay.
especially since, like you said, like a chambermaid. This isn't Cinderella. This is Tiana. She's a hard-working woman.
Well, I mean, chambermaids can be hardworking too.
Yeah.
But
Am I wrong though? A chambermaid is like
It's
someone who cleans houses.
yeah,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
like a maid.
Okay.
But I think that that's good though because it does show like she was able to work two jobs. I mean, I guess you could be a maid and be something
Sure.
else, but it shows
Yeah.
that there's a little bit more, at least in society. If you think about like the level of responsibility, it is
Mhm.
higher up on the rung. You know,
Yeah.
what I
Yeah.
mean?
Speaking of working two jobs, that scene where she came home from work and she was like, "Whoo!" and she laid down on the bed and her alarm clock rang right after. That's
and then
my
she had
worst
to get
nightmare.
right back up.
And she got right back
That's
up.
my worst nightmare.
Double shift.
It's a hard night for tips, Tiana. Oh my!
Oh,
It was like
so
you got
good.
2 pennies, girl.
I love
Oh
it.
my god!
I
But she had
love
so many
it.
jars of money in there.
It was very cute.
So what was your favorite?
Oh, okay.
song?
And her
So
dad. Okay, I do love her dad.
Thank
I don't know
you.
about
He's-
like dad.
Would you
like,
marry
hey,
him?
you
'Cause
sexy.
I would.
Okay, I don't know about all that.
once again, Michelle, please.
Michelle
No.
trying to be a stepmom to Tiana.
I have my
Andre,
man.
watch out.
No,
no.
I have my man right here. He's good. I'll take him.
She just
I'll
talked about how
take
much
him,
she loves.
said, I am going to have to call my friends on the other side to deal with you. Friends on the
How
Other Side
dare
is
you.
my favorite song in this movie. I don't know why. It's a great villain song, and it's extremely fun to sing. Especially because I get to go in like a low voice and stuff, and I love the animation during the
Even
whole
though Andre
sequence
has
of
a
it.
beautiful falsetto. Go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, that's my favorite song. But I did want to mention that this movie is one of the only Disney movies to have 2 songs nominated for Best Song at the Oscars.
Hey.
It was nominated for Almost There and Down in New Orleans.
Oh, down in New Orleans.
And it was also nominated for Best Animated Feature that year. It didn't win any of these, but it was nominated for
Yeah, I
3
don't-
Oscars, which is
Yeah,
pretty
you know
cool.
when people just they just don't know what they're doing.
Right.
Thank you very much, Andre, for your response.
You're welcome.
And the reason why I'm saying thank you is because you're actually leading me into this week's segment of
dun. Bun, dun, bun, dun.
Battles of Disney
Dun, dun,
or
dun,
other
dun, dun,
movies
dun, dun, dun.
included.
Disney battle.
All right, so this week's battle.
We need to work on that.
Maybe it's
That
just
was
a little
rough.
bit.
This week's battle is whose shadow is more dependable,
Aha.
Dr. Facilier's or Peter Pan's
This is
shadow?
right. You shut me up when I was talking about
man.
Peter Pan earlier. Okay.
And hold on, let me just be clear. We're talking about dependable.
I'm going to
Dependability.
Google a definition of the word dependable. And while I'm doing this, I would... Yeah. Dependable. While I'm looking up this word, I would like to say that the movie that did win Best Animated Movie in 2009 was WALL-E. I love WALL-E.
Wow.
That's my favorite Pixar movie.
All right.
Anyways.
Anyway.
Okay, so dependable,
Yeah.
trustworthy, and reliable.
Well, trustworthy to the person, not trustworthy.
To
My
the
mic ain't on. Trustworthy to the person, not trustworthy like like
Reliable.
at least for them. Reliable.
reliable to me.
Well,
Yes.
reliable to
Reliable to their human
host.
body. Yeah.
And
Human host.
I would
the,
say
the host ghost.
I would say it also has something to do with their motive. Like, you know what I mean? Like, for example, Dr. Facilier's motive is to get some souls so that he can have his soul back. So therefore, his shadow is kind of leading him on the right track and helping him
In terms
do
of
that.
Sure.
And Peter's Pan shadow's just doing all sorts of crazy things. He's running away. Peter Pan always has to catch it. But Peter Pan's motive is to be a kid forever. So isn't that kind of a kid thing to do? Have your shadow running away and you have to catch after it and do some like trickster type things. So
Keep you away from your responsibilities.
I
and
gotta
stuff like that.
think. What are your
So
opinions?
yeah, I think like it's very interesting seeing the two. Like I think the Shadow Man's shadow is a lot more capable than Peter Pan's shadow. Like Peter Pan's shadow, he messed with Peter Pan, but the Shadow Man's shadow, he's messing with other
Messing with
people.
other
He's
people.
taking money out of people's pockets and stuff like that.
That's legit.
He's super cool. Honestly, I kind of wish I had a shadow that would just make me richer.
Pickpocket.
I don't know. I'm not doing it. It's not me. It's this,
But does
it's
that
this dark
mean
dude over here.
Trust. But does that mean
Hands up in the air.
It's
You
not,
know,
guys,
know.
it's
It
my
wasn't
shadow. What are you gonna do, right?
it's not my fault. He gave me the money after
Sorry.
he did it.
that's funny?
I thought he was out there committing good deeds. I didn't know he was.
I have my
evil like
vote.
that.
I have my vote.
Oh, you have your vote
Oh,
already?
do you?
We're done
My
deciding.
vote is for Peter Pan because
why?
because
He's your favorite.
no, that's actually not why.
Okay, let's hear it.
I do love Peter Pan. If you guys, I was like Peter when I see him in the park.
Oh.
Peter!
I have pictures of Michelle running up to Peter Pan like a child.
Oh,
She
you remember
ditched
when we
me
went to-
go hang out with Peter Pan?
Yeah, we were in the
That was when we were in line together.
yeah
right?
we were
right.
in the Small World
And they
line.
said that we smelled like codfish or something.
Yeah, so I saw
Oh.
Peter Pan
Remember?
down by the pond when we were in the Small World line, and I was like, "Bye, guys." So I ran down there and like hung out
in
with
a
him.
very far away place. Like,
Right, like she ran far to.
Yes.
He
hang
was
out with
by
Peter
himself.
Pan.
He needed some company.
Ugh.
Yeah, I loved
we
Peter
weren't
Pan.
by ourselves.
And he did. I was like,
he
those
was
are,
talking smack.
I was like, those are my friends over there. Waved to him. He saw, oh, you mean they smell like a bunch of codfish? And I was like, whoa.
I'm
Rude.
pretty sure there was a cast member next to him and he wasn't by himself. But I
Yeah,
mean,
well,
that's
of
just me.
course there's a cast member with him, but
Actually, I think Peter Pan's one of the ones that like runs away from his
he
cast.
kind of
member.
roams
Like,
around the
he-
park.
he
Yeah.
just like his shadow,
Yeah.
nowhere to be
So
found.
I'm going to vote for Peter Pan's shadow because I think no matter what, his shadow is going to be trustworthy to him, reliable. He's going to have his shadow's going to have his back no matter what because it is actually Peter Pan's shadow. And like they're one and the same to me, like they're very similar, like trickster. I kind of think as Dr. Facilier's shadow is almost like a separate person, like trying to keep him on the right track, but also I feel like his shadow, like you know that scene where all the shadows are going to find the frogs and stuff like that and they're kind of evil.
Yeah.
I think that his shadow is kind of more reliable to the friends on the other side than Dr. Facilier.
I'm gonna agree with Michelle, even though I personally like Dr. Facilier's shadow better than Peter Pan's shadow, like
agree
in
with
the
that.
movie kind of universe.
Yeah.
I agree with her that Peter Pan's, even though, okay, let me back up. Even though Dr. Facilier's shadow is more dependable in getting the deed done, I would say that Peter Pan's is more reliable to him as an individual because Dr. Facilier's shadow ultimately was his demise after the talisman was broken.
That's true.
And he was sucked into his gravestone, which I would like to talk about his gravestone afterwards.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
That's
because
cool.
Luis and I had a mini debate.
Okay, so in hearing your response, Michelle, and then also yours, Ems, I am going to change my vote.
Oh.
And I 100% agree with you guys in terms of Peter Pan's shadow would be more reliable because, in a way, the relationship is different. Because it seems to me almost, after hearing your guys' explanation, that Dr. F's shadow is more kind of like a, how should I put it? What I'm trying to say, it's almost as if it's his boss,
Right.
keeping him in line.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, whenever, if I happen to mess up in a job, my boss is going to go, he gets paid the big money to make sure he goes in there, helps me out so I can correct it and continue on the path.
Sure.
So in that sense, it's not necessarily that he's reliable in the 100% definition of being reliable. It's just he has to be there for him.
The way I see it is what Dr. Facilier was doing for Lawrence, the fake Naveen, right? How he was pushing him to do what he needed him to do. That's what
That's
Dr.
what
Facilier's
shadow
shadow
is.
was doing for him.
I agree.
Yeah, I think I had written that down fairly early on in the movie. Is that like Dr. Facilier? He takes in these people and he like tries to control them like puppets, while all the while being controlled himself
As a
puppet by his friends on the other side and his shadow. But just to be a contrarian, I think
I'm really happy with that. Though. Go
I
ahead.
am going to vote for Dr. Facilier's shadow because
it's legit.
Because Luis, you think of him as his boss, but I'm gonna kind of think of his shadow as like his conscience, and he's like, you know what, young man, you need to get yourself together and gather up these souls, get your butt in gear, and also I'm gonna help you a little bit with it.
Yeah, and maybe
What,
if
is
I
it like a demon conscience? Like
Yeah, he's not
You
he's
know
not a
what?
good
okay,
guy.
so it's not Jiminy
It's like
Cricket.
it's like
No.
it's like the angel on your shoulder and the devil on your shoulder,
So
and the
it's
shadow is the devil.
he's
But
the
he's
devil on
but
your
he's doing
shoulder.
his
Yeah.
job.
but I think that
so
might
he's doing his job really well.
Yes.
might have been one of those things that if I had known Dr. Facilier's backstory, like, because eventually he
Like
was
how
supposed
he
to get
got
his
the
soul
shadow.
back, right? I'm assuming he
Well,
sold
that's
his
where
soul.
the conversation.
So maybe the shadow's like, come on, dude, let's get our soul back.
Well,
You
let's
know what I
okay.
mean?
Make your final vote so we can go into that conversation because that's my next conversation.
Yes. Shadow Man is Shadow Man Shadow.
So
That's
3
my
for
final vote.
Peter, 1 for Shadow Man.
That's right.
Okay, let's go in. Thank you, Lou. That was a really good one. That was a
That's
good
Super
debate.
good.
Okay, so let's go into that conversation because I think we can all agree that Dr. Facilier sold a soul, and that's
Mhm.
why he's either the Shadow Man or is dealing with the friends on the other side, right?
He's like
Or
working
he's
for
able
them.
to. Yes. So I have a theory. Now, this is totally theory. This is not.
Right.
This is fan fiction,
It's
y'all.
all speculation.
I'm thinking that he was considered dead. I think he's dead because that tombstone, when he at the end when he gets pulled into the tombstone,
Yeah.
it already said Facilier. And I get that it could have magically just turned into Facilier,
Sure.
but it was a more human face, like a more plump human face than he was in the movie as the Shadow Man. And if you look at him as the Shadow Man, he is extremely gaunt.
Bone
He's
thin.
super bone thin. He doesn't really look alive, and so many times they portray him with that skull mask.
That mask, yeah.
Okay.
So I'm kind of thinking, what if he was dead and he was trying to get back?
I don't agree with that just because when he gets sucked into his gravestone, he's screaming, and the face on the gravestone is literally the same face, like the last face you see him making while he's getting sucked in.
Agreed.
So
like
I
it
don't
trapped
think
him
that.
in there,
And he's always saying,
like
I need to
Medusa.
repay my debts. So I'm thinking maybe he asked these friends on the other side or something like this for a favor or some way to get money or something, and they're like, yeah, you're going to get money, but you're going to get us some souls too, type of thing.
Right.
Hold on
That's what I kinda think.
I need to, jump on board with them on this one. I get what you're saying that, the face he leaves on the tombstone does not really support M's point. However, why couldn't it? What kind of face would you be making if you're getting dragged back to the hell that you left to go back into the real world.
And I
he
think
was
maybe
dead.
he's been there because he kind of seems to be like, no, like, oh, I have to go back here. But I don't know if I necessarily think
scared
he
of
was dead and came back to life. But I think maybe he's been there.
And I also think that he, the debt he had to pay was leaving hell to do what he's doing on Earth.
Agreed. And here's the thing. This is where for some of you your comic book knowledge may get stretched a little bit. I know mine did because I did not know this story, but he is very much like Robbie Reyes,
Oh, like
the Ghost Rider.
yes.
So the Ghost Rider, and the only reason I know anything about this is because we just watched Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. But Robbie Reyes was help me.
He's a guy, and he
He's a guy.
he's a guy.
He pretty much sold his soul,
He
and
sold
he
his
had
soul
to,
and was possessed by the spirit of vengeance.
Yes.
That is the Ghost Rider.
and so he had to go and he had to do the evil bidding to get either souls or get vengeance or whatever.
Yes.
And when I watched Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and we watched Robbie on that show, it very much I saw like similar themes. So that's kind of what it made me think, like he was either on like the verge of being dead, because at least Robbie Reyes died in that, and he was like
Sure.
his last moment was to go and get vengeance. So I was thinking maybe Dr. Facilier was like dead and was like, no, I will do this thing to hang on to life.
Right. I think I agree with that one the most. Like that he was either trying to save his own life or on the verge of death and called to these friends on the other side. I think it's like a Hades and Megara situation.
I dig it.
Where
Yes.
he had to sell his soul for whatever reason and is now completely indebted to these beings and must do whatever they say, however they want.
Now that you're saying Hades and Megara, I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, I kind of get it now.
Okay, so Hades and Megara, Robbie Reyes and
Yeah,
the devil, I
Yeah.
guess.
I
Just
get
without
it.
like the sexy sassy.
Could be right. We'll have to see if they ever make a second movie, if you were correct.
I know. I need some. Okay, I agree with you. I need some Dr. Facilier backstory.
I do. He's a great villain.
Yeah.
He
Oh,
really
he's
is.
fantastic.
He's a very cool character.
Are you
And
ready?
Keith David, who does his voice, does an
Are you
amazing job. He's got a good voice in everything that he's in, but
What's
especially
your
in this.
You guys
rating?
remember seeing him in the Halloween party we went to? In the parade? You
Yeah,
guys don't
Disneyland?
remember that? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, his
Oh, he was dang
Freaky.
creepy there.
Yeah.
God, that Halloween parade is so good.
He was creepy. If he's creepy
Yeah.
in the movie, dang.
He's
I
very
saw him in real life. I was like,
This man is very
all right.
creepy in real life.
He's a good
I'm gonna go over
villain.
here.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
Oh, that's what I should be for Halloween next
You could be a very good
Oh my
Facilier.
God.
Ooh.
But
Oh
we-
my God. Michelle, you could be Charlotte. I mean, yeah.
Dude.
That would totally work.
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know who me and Luis would
Back
be.
into the fray.
Well, back into the fray.
Dude, Luis
That'd be funny.
could be Luis.
Oh.
Everyone calls him Luis anyways.
You
He's
could
so
carry
mad
around
right
a
now.
trumpet.
He's so mad because people call him Luis. Do not call
I
him Luis,
was a
people.
human being. I had straight from the right.
I could be
And
Prince
I blew
Naveen.
his horns already. Will you be who?
Prince Naveen.
Prince
Okay, Lou, you can be Prince Naveen.
Naveen. That's not how it goes.
That is Prince Ali.
Macedonia.
Hmm.
I know, I'm silly.
Anyway.
With that being said, ratings?
Yeah, let's do some ratings.
What's your rating?
go
What's your rating?
first. So I think having watched this movie so many times and felt very close to it, even though it came out like a little bit later in my life. I was a young adult when I first saw it.
Were you, though?
I was a very young adult, and I think
Young.
I love this movie with all my heart. Watching it this time, I found like that the animation wasn't like as stellar as I remembered it being, or as compared to some of the other movies that we've watched recently. Like even like Pocahontas, I think had some better animation than this movie. And
In parts, yes.
some points, yes.
Probably because it was remastered, too, right?
Oh yeah,
we saw the
we did watch a
version.
remastered version of Pocahontas. That's
Damn
true.
remastered versions are getting you every time.
So for that reason, I'm not gonna rate it like the 9.9 that I would have done when I was like 18. But I do still think that it's fantastic, and I love almost every single song. There's no faults there. All the voice acting is amazing, and I truly enjoy the story, even though they put in like a death of a truly beloved character. We didn't talk about Ray as much as we should have, but he was awesome.
He was very
Right.
awesome.
And every single thing that he did and said was great. I loved Ray. There's one point where he's like, "A bug's gotta do what a bug's got to do," and he's like in like a Buzz Lightyear pose. It's great.
Oh
Ray's
my
awesome.
gosh.
So
Well, and it's funny too because I feel like Ray could have been that character that was overdone very easily,
Sure.
and in some way he just was not. He was perfect.
Well, I mean,
Evangeline to keep
obviously,
him in
if I
check.
felt so connected to him that he died the first time I watched it, I couldn't watch it again.
That's
because I,
right. Yeah,
I
it was so
obviously
sad.
very much loved him.
So I think
She was scarred. Like
I
I'm
was.
scarred by Marley and Me. She's scarred by Ray's death in the
I'm
frog.
really- and you know
And the
what?
prin-
It's
the
so
frog and the princess.
it's
There you
so traumatizing to me that Dr. Facilier just steps on him and it crunches.
Yeah, it's
and my
it's like
heart just
tragic
cringes.
and kind of graphic.
Well,
Yeah.
that's actually part of my gripe with that part of the movie. I had it written down, but my gripe is that it is very clear that in that moment, Ray is done.
Done.
So, like,
He's crushed.
he is crushed into he's mush.
Yeah.
And that is very hard for me to say
Yeah.
because I think everyone went, like, you didn't expect that from a Disney.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Man,
You,
Facilier.
you expected just like him to like smack him or something. No,
Right.
he got crunched. And then like in 5 seconds later, they pull him up and he's like
He's like-
completely full, but he's just kind of like,
It's like,
his little light is flickering out.
Evangeline.
I know. I feel like he was like a flickering Charmander when he really should have been like a. I just made a Pokemon reference. I'm so embarrassed.
yeah.
Luis, you should be proud of yourself. He literally was dead, and then they brought him
Yeah.
back to life,
And
Yeah.
then he died.
and then he really died.
I have a gripe
could've been
too,
done.
but I'll talk about it during my
Yeah,
rating.
so-
Go ahead.
So in terms of my rating, I think I'm going to give this movie a 9. 9 out
Very
of 10.
nice.
Remember my 2 words I said earlier?
Top 5.
5. This, for me, is definitely a 9.5.
9.5
Wow,
from
Luis.
Louise.
9.5. I
Loves
really,
Prince
really
Frog.
enjoyed it. This morning, yeah, it was this morning, right? I was like, could we watch it again before we do the podcast? Because
Yeah,
I
it's good.
really, really love this story.
Yeah.
If we want to go back to... Okay, no, backtrack. Okay, so the main reason why I love this story is because, one, Tiana wasn't not a princess
Right.
at the beginning. And two,
Mhm.
just like Ems mentioned, talk about family values and working hard to get something.
Yeah.
How many princess movies or Disney movies up until that point?
Yeah, it's
Sold
kind of this
that.
Like,
new
this is-
generation of
this is the
princess.
First movie I'm going to show my children whenever I have them because like I'm
Oh, we are?
going to get some work ethic into these kids.
Oh, yeah.
Mm.
You know, look up to Tiana.
I agree with you 100%.
Michelle's eyes when Andre just said, "When I have
was
my
thinking
children."
the Little
Oh my
Mermaid,
God.
but you know.
Daddy, I love him, or Daddy, I'm gonna work hard to open our restaurant.
Mm.
Daddy, I love him.
Yeah, Prince and the Frog every single time.
Daddy,
Oh,
I love him,
whatever.
but Daddy, I love your gumbo.
Get out of here. What's your rating, Emily?
I totally agree with Luis. One of my favorite scenes of this whole movie was right at the beginning when and they actually like do a reprise where they bring it back when they show everyone on Tiana's back porch. I think that when
Yeah.
all of the family members
Yeah,
come
I love
and
that.
Community.
Well, not even
With
the
the
family.
gumbo, yeah.
Yeah,
the
like-
community.
yeah, everyone comes up and they're all
everybody, I make gumbo.
Oh,
it's
so
literally the
cute.
cutest thing you've ever seen, and you can tell that family for them extends beyond just the people in
Yeah.
their household. And I think that's really why I love that Charlotte and Big Daddy and all of them all became family, and Lewis
Yeah,
and
they're all really
everyone
close.
was.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just beautiful. So I would say values wise, this movie 100% for me is like a 9. Again, I'm not going to give a 10 to a movie, I don't think, but I would say definite 9.
Yeah.
I think that there are a couple little tweaks that could have been done to like solidify the story a little bit more.
Mhm.
I agree with Michelle that I think a little bit of backstory could have been done here or there.
For Dr. Facilier,
I
yeah,
had
sure.
shared earlier that I read that Lewis, in like an early write up of the script, he was a human who had been turned into an alligator, who wanted to be a musician but couldn't play, and so that's why Dr. Facilier turned him into an alligator.
Then he got them gator fingers.
But then he got them gator fingers and could play. So it was like, again, all magic comes with a price type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would have been a really cool addition because it would
Yeah.
have made a little bit more sense as to why this
why he
alligator
has a trumpet.
has a trumpet. Like, did he just steal it? Like, how did he learn to play? I don't know. I guess that really doesn't matter. But
Sure.
sometimes
All right.
that character development, even if it's one sentence,
Mm-hmm.
gives you like, ooh,
Yeah,
it just like
more of a
zings it a little
connection,
bit
yeah.
more.
Okay. So I'm going to Okay. So my gripe with the movie.
Are you gonna Debbie Down us right now?
No.
Okay.
It's still going to be a high score. I'm not like giving it like a 7 or anything. No.
No.
Listen.
This ain't a C.
8.5 is my score
Okay.
because, and we haven't talked about this yet, and I'm surprised it hasn't gotten brought up. I can't get over the fact that
Boom.
Tiana met Naveen as a frog. She turned into a frog. They fell in love in one day as a frog. They got married as a frog, and she didn't even know it was. It's the whole princess fell in love in one day and now marry me type of thing again.
They
And
went
I'm a
through a
little
lot.
bit like meh.
They had an adventure.
And all of
They
them
had an
usually
adventure.
go through a lot. That's fine, but I think
How much
now
did
that
Prince
I'm-
Eric and Ariel go through?
a lot.
They didn't even speak to each other.
Like a week, 5 days, something like that. And she had been pining over him for a while. She saved his life on a ship, lots of things. Anyways, so I think for me, and it's not even necessarily that the whole like fell in love in one day thing, which to me is kind of a juxtaposition to like she's so hardworking and blah blah blah. But it goes back to the theme that like love is all you need, and that's the whole point, and that's why like they fell in love in one day type of thing. My thing is she didn't even know what he looked like. She fell in love with a frog. She married a frog, and he turned into a human, and now she knows what he looks like.
Didn't Ariel fall in love with
Well,
him
we're
at
not taking
first
this back to
sight?
Yeah, because she's a mermaid.
So she fell in love with Prince Eric at first
No.
sight.
No, she wanted to be human.
Belle fell in love with the beast, and she didn't know what he looked like. She saw a tore up tapestry, but
Okay, well,
that
then
could
it
have not
comes
been
back
like what
to
it looked.
they fell in love in one day thing.
And isn't that a beautiful thing that they did not?
Luis
know
fell in
what
love with
each
me in
other-
one day.
if this was Cinderella or Snow White or
Can you agree that you fell in love with me for one day, so the listeners don't think I'm crazy?
She cray.
if this was
That is not what I was. Oh
Took
my
more
god!
than one
Listen to
day.
His mic is off.
if it was Cinderella or Snow White or Aurora and they all fell in love in one day, you guys would be like, oh, they fell in love in one day, blah blah blah. That sucks.
You know what?
Don't
I
you
totally
think?
okay. I 900% agree with you. But here's the deal. I think that it didn't bother me because it didn't seem like one day, and maybe
Right.
that's the reason. Is
Yeah.
it because in some of the other movies, like it's very obviously a 24-hour period.
Mhm.
This one to me, I would have never said it was one day. I would have been like they were out there for 2 weeks.
Right.
But you're right. I
It's
think
only
it
like
was a very
it's like
short
one
amount of
day
time.
or
And
2
also,
days.
I think it helps that both of them had very strong arcs where he was arrogant and then became hardworking, and
I
she was
shouldn't-
crazy hardworking
Yeah.
and then became more about love and stuff
And
like
I
that.
shouldn't say it was one day because I think she was like gonna get the place, and he was like, "You have to give me the money by like next Tuesday
Wednesday,
or
yeah.
Wednesday." So it had been a couple of days, but I think coming from like Tiana's like a new generation princess type of thing, I think for me it would have been better if it had been like time has passed and then they got married type of thing. Like that whole proposal fast thing was like, no, this was like the old Disney writing, and you were doing this new Disney writing. So why did we have to kind of throw that in there, type of thing?
Okay.
But that's my only beef with the movie.
Because she had to be a princess, and she was only a princess after she married
Yes.
the prince. That's why.
So that's why, obviously, because she kissed him and then she turned into a princess, and that's why they turned back human.
That was precious. My favorite line in the entire movie is where they realize why they turned
Mhm.
back human, and he's like, "Oh, when you became my wife, you were then a princess." Like just
Very
the,
cute.
the words that he used,
Yes.
like I don't know, being married, I guess.
And
is
I'm
like,
not gonna act like
"Oh,
I
that's
didn't think
beautiful."
everything was cute. Like when he was making the little pearl in the ring, I was like, "Oh, it's
Yeah.
so cute."
That's
I'm
cool.
It
just
was very
saying, not
cute.
necessarily from the movie's perspective, but from the Disney writing, animation, princess perspective. Thought we were kind of trying to get away from that thing. You know what I mean? So that's why I give it an 8.5. But do I love the movie? Absolutely. The movie is amazing.
Michelle, let's be real.
I fell in love with you in one day.
None of that was even a problem. It was all you have a frog problem.
I do, and I was saying this the whole time. I have an
She was like,
issue with
"Why are they
frogs.
frogs? They're frogs. Ew, gross, frogs." She was like
you know
Tiana as a
how
little
Tiana,
girl.
you know how Tiana won't kiss the frog.
Uh-huh.
I was like, yeah, girl, me either. And they're like, it's mucus. I was like, oh god. What?
We're just gonna back it up. You're just mad because you can't fall in love with her dad.
Let's be real. That's true.
Oh my
I'm
god.
But it's,
I don't like the idea
That's
of
my
them
only
being frogs
gripe.
either.
but
I feel you.
love it. I love them together. Everything about the end of the movie and how their relationship like solidified, and when they're like in the restaurant at the end, and you know they fix up the house together.
They're too cute.
Yeah.
It's so good.
I dig it. I like their relationship too because they're the
I
best
love
of
it.
both sides.
Right.
God, so good. Yes.
It's good. All right. I think we're done, right?
Boom.
Wow.
And just like that.
He's saying that because
so.
he's hungry and he wants
I
food.
am hungry.
Well,
Getting
before
gumbo after this? No.
well,
Gumbo.
Gumbo. Before we wrap it, which Andre, does our rapping
Sure.
for us because he's a gangster rapper, and I'm
you.
talking about presents. I do want to share that we are doing our Instagram voting for our Christmas
That's right.
special, and we're actually going to extend it for a couple days. It was supposed to be Sunday, which was last night.
Yeah.
But we're going to extend it until Wednesday of this week so that we can get a couple more votes in.
I'm trying to win, y'all. That's why.
Yeah. Michelle just needs some more votes for her movie. So, again, Andre, what's your movie?
My movie is The Santa Claus.
Boo.
The
Sandy
Santa
Claus.
A movie about litigation and magic. Get into it.
Oh my gosh.
I'm dying. Michelle, what's your movie?
My movie is I'll Be Home for Christmas. It's the best Christmas movie ever. It's so funny. You guys have to do it. There's an NSYNC song in the credits. Like, come on.
So I could just listen to the NSYNC song.
No.
Happy
No.
holidays.
You have to see the movie.
Was that
so good?
No, I had that Christmas album, FYI, that NSYNC, yeah.
Didn't
I have
we
the
all?
whole episode planned out, by the way. I know everything I'm going to say.
Oh, well.
That's
Well,
all
Too bad it's not
Too
going to get
bad
picked.
it won't happen. And then my movie is The Muppets Christmas Carol. Just like Michelle knows everything about her movie,
I'll Be Home for Christmas.
I'll Be Home for Christmas. Emily, me, myself, and I know everything about this damn Muppet movie. It's fantastic. It's hilarious. Who doesn't love Miss Piggy? I'm just going to say she's fantastic.
And my movie is McFarlane USA.
Nope,
Please
we're not-
get on there
not doing
and
that.
vote for
No,
it.
that's not even a
that's
choice.
Not even a Christmas opera. No.
Prove them wrong.
What's that movie about?
Viewers, please prove them wrong
Louise?
and just vote for McFarlane USA either way. Thank you.
Boo.
He just wants to watch it. I just really
okay.
no.
Anyway, you guys get on Instagram. We are at the Walt Vault Pod. Go there, vote on the Christmas movies. In the future, we're going to have more voting opportunities so you guys can pick what we're going to watch instead of us forcing movies upon you, even though when we do that, it's great.
But, for the other two movies this month, we going to choose for you.
Yeah, because
That's
this,
right.
this is a
We got a
dictatorship.
drum
Oh, yeah,
roll.
by the way, what are we doing next week?
Can I get a drum roll, please?
Atlantis, the Lost Empire.
And while all of you are like,
What?
Atlantis? Huh?
Watch it again.
Here's the
'cause-
deal. Watch it again. It's on Netflix.
Mhm.
Get your subscription on if you're not on Netflix.
I'll give you my password. No, I won't.
No.
Whoa, on air. Here is Andre's bank account information.
No.
Just
No.
kidding.
Watch it again because there are quite a few fabulous things going on here.
You might be surprised.
I promise you will like it more than you think you like it.
Right.
Or I bet the majority of our listeners may or may not have even watched it. So watch something
I
new.
believe it came out in 2001.
Oh, whoa. That was a long time ago. Okay.
Yeah, it's like 16 years ago. Anyway, yeah.
I hope our listeners were all alive when this came out.
Oh, hey, if you're a baby listener, let us know.
If you're 15 or younger.
Oh, man.
I just want to know the demographics of what we're
You guys
reaching.
are funny.
You can let us know by going to the website. We're at thewaltvaultpod.com. You can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. We are at the Walt Vault Pod on all of those. Don't forget to subscribe on iTunes. We're also on Google Play and Stitcher. I'm also putting all of these episodes up on YouTube so you can watch a static picture
So
of,
Addie
of a
can
movie
watch
poster.
them when she's older and she's like browsing the dark web and she's like, what is this my parents are on?
Oh my gosh, she's gonna learn so much about you, like that Luis's favorite prince is Naveen, and it's gonna be great.
So, by the way, I did fall in love with my wife in one day.
Aw, babe, I fell in love with you in one day too.
Oh, I totally did not fall in love with you.
Yeah,
in one
no.
day.
Nor did I fall in love with Luis
Oh yeah, high five, Luis.
in one day.
Yeah.
Oh man, you didn't high five.
He did
me.
not high five you.
There's a
Boom.
high five.
Love
All
there
right,
was.
you guys. Oh, by the way, you can totally email us at contact@thewaltvaultpod.com, and if you do that, then maybe we'll read your email on the air. You can ask us questions, you can give us advice, you can do all
Ask us
kinds of stuff.
questions.
Yeah, so try that out. I don't know.
And continue to do your commenting and everything on
Yes.
social media.
We
We're having
love
a great
it.
time.
We
We
love your
appreciate-
interactions on social media.
Like
We'll
I'm gonna
totally
be real.
talk to you.
When we started this, I was like, if my mom listens to it, I'll be happy.